The Justice Department recently opened access to a large number of previously withheld records connected to the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. These unredacted files were made available for review by select members of Congress today. Just a short while ago, Representatives Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna shared their immediate reactions after examining the materials. Massie pointed out that he noticed the names of at least 6 individuals remained hidden behind redactions, and their presence in the files strongly suggests they face potential serious implications. Both lawmakers emphasized a deeper worry. Even in the portions they were permitted to see, significant sections stayed concealed, leaving many questions unanswered. Joining the discussion now is Democratic Representative Jared Moskowitz from Florida, a member of the House Judiciary Committee. Congressman, you had the opportunity to review portions of these documents earlier today. The setup at the Department of Justice was unusual. Visitors head to the 10th floor of a building where the entire level appears deserted. No staff in sight. Inside a secure room, 4 computers sit ready for use. To even begin navigating the viewing system, officials provide a detailed 24-page guide explaining every step. Under the guidelines, the department is permitted to protect only the personal details of victims and survivors, along with any information that could compromise active federal probes. Congressman Moskowitz, in your view, did the redactions align with those legal boundaries? What specific elements stood out to you as troubling? Thank you for having me. First, everyone is hoping for the safe and quick return of Savannah's mother to her loved ones. The core focus here shifts to former President Trump and his persistent assertions that the 2020 presidential election was stolen from him. This claim appears in virtually every public appearance, every media discussion, and countless posts on his platform. The central story revolves around widespread cheating, manipulated voting equipment, and fraudulent ballots. A federal judge has now issued a firm directive that challenges those repeated statements head-on. The order requires the FBI to turn over the actual ballots seized during their inquiry in Fulton County, Georgia, back in 2020. These are the original, unaltered records that authorities have guarded closely for years. It is safe to assume the former president is far from pleased with this development. The ruling specifies a tight deadline. The materials must be disclosed by Tuesday, February 10, 2026. Meaning the release happens this very week. The judge rejected broad or excessive blackouts, stressing that the American people have a legitimate right to understand the facts surrounding those events. For anyone who has accepted the stolen election argument, this moment likely feels like a breakthrough. After years of hearing about massive irregularities, many expect these files to finally deliver concrete evidence backing those accusations. Yet the response from Trump's legal circle tells a different story. Rather than welcoming the disclosure as validation, his attorneys are actively working to block or limit what becomes public. That reaction alone prompts serious reflection. If the contents truly supported claims of large-scale wrongdoing, one would expect eagerness to let everything come to light. Georgia's 2020 results have lingered in controversy. Trump fell short there by roughly 12,000 votes, a narrow margin out of millions cast, and Biden secured the win. Unable to accept the outcome, Trump contacted the state's top election official, urging him to locate just enough additional votes to reverse the result. In a recorded conversation, he explicitly asked the Secretary of State to find 11,780 votes. Beyond that call, efforts included assembling alternate electors who claim to represent Georgia, despite the certified tally favoring Biden. Federal investigators eventually took possession of certain ballots as part of their examination into the various allegations. The FBI does not move to secure physical evidence without sufficient cause. Their action implied credible grounds for concern that required careful review to separate fact from fiction. Importantly, no official FBI statement ever validated widespread fraud. Multiple recounts, audits, and judicial reviews consistently affirmed that Biden prevailed legitimately in the state. So the natural question arises, what prompted the seizure in the first place? And what details within those investigative files are the former president's allies determined to shield from view? The judge has ruled in favor of openness, insisting the relevant documents be made available without unnecessary concealment. This step holds real significance. Trump's political identity has long rested on the conviction that the 2020 contest was illegitimate. That belief energized his supporters, contributed to the January 6th events, and formed the cornerstone of his path back to the presidency in 2024. Should the forthcoming FBI materials undermine or disprove the fraud assertions tied to Georgia, the impact would extend far beyond one state. Doubts would naturally spread to similar allegations raised about Pennsylvania, Arizona, Michigan, Wisconsin, and elsewhere. The timing could hardly be more striking. With Trump once again occupying the Oval Office and advancing his priorities, the courts are poised to release information that might directly challenge the very foundation of his return to power. This development touches on accountability in a profound way. For an extended period, investigations have faced delays, legal challenges, and political maneuvering. Now a judge has drawn a clear line. Secrecy will not prevail indefinitely. At its heart, the matter probes whether an effort was made to subvert an electoral defeat. If the records indicate awareness that no substantial fraud existed, yet a contrary story was promoted anyway, that crosses into territory far more serious than routine political rhetoric. It raises fundamental concerns about democratic principles. Dismissing such actions as inconsequential because the individual now holds office sets a dangerous precedent. Future leaders could feel emboldened to challenge results they dislike through similar means, eroding the integrity of the process itself. Public confidence hangs in the balance too. Large numbers continue to view 2020 through the lens Trump provided, placing greater faith in his account than in official findings or independent checks. When hard evidence contradicts that version, reactions may vary. Some may reassess, while others reinforce their stance by questioning the messengers. That division complicates national dialogue and collective decision-making. A shared grasp of basic facts is essential for a functioning society, and the persistent fracture weakens that foundation. Come Tuesday, the files will enter the public domain. Analysts, journalists, and commentators will scrutinize every page. Critics will highlight any inconsistencies with past statements, while defenders will likely frame the release as another partisan attack. Trump himself will almost certainly characterize it as biased overreach, label institutions involved as untrustworthy, and rally his supporters to reject unfavorable conclusions. His strength has always derived from maintaining that loyalty, portraying himself as perpetually targeted by powerful forces. Sustaining belief among the base allows him to endure criticism and setbacks. Still, reality has a way of asserting itself over time. When the gap between repeated assertions and verifiable facts grows too wide, maintaining the narrative becomes increasingly difficult. We may be approaching such a juncture. The release of these long-held FBI records brings the country closer to clarity on what actually transpired with those Georgia ballots in 2020. This is far from over. The implications could prove substantial, reshaping perceptions and sparking further developments. Stay tuned as more unfolds. This story carries real weight, and we will continue following every major turn.